Well, good morning. This is Rocky Romero. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to Dennis Gilbert. And Dennis, welcome and to Peers on Demand. And I'm wondering if perhaps you could share uh, more about yourself and more about your business.
Yeah, well, good morning, Rocky. Thanks so much for having me on board with you here this morning. So, I have a training and consulting business called Appreciative Strategies. And so, a lot of my business is what we call the old, somewhat old school, maybe in some markets, but the stand up, live, face to face training. And so, I'm out helping businesses grow and develop their people. I help businesses formulate strategy. I facilitate strategic planning sessions. I also do a fair amount of what we know as public speaking or keynote speaking. So I'm always out in the marketplace trying to obtain opportunities to speak at corporate retreats or corporate conferences, conventions, things like that. So that's really the overview of my business. I'm pretty much, maybe by description, a one person show. However, I outsource a lot of my activities. And I also, it's not uncommon for me to partner with other consultants, other trainers, it enables us to accomplish bigger projects or take on bigger kinds of activities or projects.
Well, very good. You mentioned partnering up. I'm wondering who's an ideal client or ideal connection that would work with you?
Yeah, so it's always a great question, and it's one that I'm frequently asked about. People will ask me, what sector do you represent? What sector do you work with? Or even demographics, what's the business size, et cetera. The beauty, I believe, of a lot of the work that I do is that there really aren't many boundaries. Most of the work that I do is considered to be described as a platform for soft skills. So soft skills are things like supervisory development, management development, leadership development, helping businesses grow and develop their talent. It would also include things like how we communicate, conflict, even things like critical thinking, decision making, problem solving, all of those aspects, any of the people, the soft skill people aspects of the business. So what that really means is I'm available to almost any sector. Now, most businesses believe that they're very unique and that their sector has some very unique challenges. And I don't really disagree with that. There are some unique characteristics to each business or each sector, but most of the soft skill tactics or strategies or the ways to improve are fairly universal. So it leaves me open to work with a lot of different sectors. Commonplace for me are sectors like manufacturing. I've done a lot of work in healthcare, in banking, but I've also served other things that we may not think about so much, such as television stations. Trade associations are also big for me, and even government kinds of work. So, for example, I've helped places, things like townships in more rural communities, municipalities, all of those kinds of aspects of how people really communicate or how they grow and develop, their workforce to be, of course, the best that they can be.
And that's what we certainly want, is to be able to help businesses and individuals to be the best they can be. So with it, I'm wondering if you can think and share a story of someone that received tremendous value by working with you. What would that be?
Yeah, well, of course, Rocky, I would like to, reinforce that I think every client has received tremendous value. I think one of the telltale signs for me of organizations that have received a lot of value is that, of course, we know how important networking is. We know how important, our relationships are, our business relationships. And I've been doing this for quite some time now. I've officially started Appreciative Strategies over 11 years ago. And even prior to that, had a lot of very strong business connections. The beauty, I think the telltale sign for me that I'm making a positive impact with organizations is across the years, I've had some contacts within organizations hire me as many as 3 times moving from one organization to another organization to another organization. So, so for example, I may work with them at ABC Company, 8 or 10 years ago, and after 3 or 4 years, they get an advancement, and maybe they move to a higher position in a different country or a different company. And so then they bring me into that company, and I've had several bring me into as many as 3 different organizations. So their success stories really lie in the idea of this growing and developing their talent, and how the people can work better together. Of course, we have lots of business challenges, everything from economic conditions to government regulations to other finance concerns, and even a moving employment statistic. So some organizations, depending on their location, they may feel that unemployment is very low in some of those locations, so it makes getting the workforce they desire more challenging. And of course, we have a mixture of those kinds of scenarios. But the bottom line is, still today, even though we have a lot of technology and robotics and et cetera involved, still requires a lot of good people to drive a positive impact. And I think the best way I can express that is the number of people who have continued to hire me, even when they move from organization to organization.
Well, Dennis, that's a testimony of the value that you bring to not just businesses, but individuals, that they're willing to bring you along throughout their business life. So I'm curious, how can someone get a hold of you, or what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so of course, a lot of business is driven through my website. I have blogs. I blog 5 days a week, and do a lot of strategic business through my website. And that website is very simple. It's my name. It's Dennis with a hyphen, dennis-gilbert.com. And a good telephone number to reach me by is area code 646-546-5553.
Well, Dennis, thank you so much for sharing with us your story, certainly your participation in helping others work together. And I recognize the value that you bring to businesses to be able to help them get forward, get better, get improved, and take you with them. So thank you again for our talk today, and I wish you well.
Thanks so much, Rocky. Have a great day.
And you, enjoy.
Thanks.